As my last video, my avatar falls down from the sky at 163 meters, and I do stupid trial to prove my theory. My avatar arms get fractured. There is no Jika refresh in my country, Indonesia, so I have to find the solution. I call it glue and stitching. The basic principle is like stitching the wound. This technique could be applied to other drone than Avata. The first ingredient is super glue. The second is micro drill bit from 0.1 millimeter to 1 millimeter, and the third is the mini copper wire 0.1 millimeter. Let's start the process. Here is the drill. I am using the 0.5 millimeter drill bit first. So I drill at the 2 point. At the Avata, it's easier to drill from the bottom because it has some curved area. Here is the first try using 0.5 millimeter drill. The drill bit is broken inside. So let's try another attempt. Using different position, and it works.
Sini.
Ya,
Kurang.
nggak perlu ke sana
I
nggak?
drill
Sana
at
lagi.
2 point. So the two hole for the Avata stitching has been created using 0.8 millimeter and the 0.8 millimeter cable. It should be enough. To help the process, I'm using cable ties, 250 millimeter cable ties to tighten the fracture arms. So when I put the glue, it could strengthen the glue until it strong enough before stitching. So I move one tip to make it tighter, and then I push the cable ties to the fracturing part, and it fits strongly to hold the fracture part when it being glued. Protect the motor using plastics so the glue will not get drip at the motor. We glue from the bottom side of Avata. Yeah, I make sure the cable ties is strong. So I put the glue at the bottom at the fracture part. After it's enough, I strengthen it using these cable ties. That's good. Now it's tied firmly. To accelerate the drying process, I'm using hair dryer. If you don't have one, it's okay. It's an optional. I dry it from the bottom and the upper side. To make sure the hole still intact, you need pearl head pins. It's to check whether the glue is dripping on the hole that you make by drilling. Yes, the hole is still intact, is still safe. Okay, so the hole is still intact, and I check from the upper side of Avata. Let's check the hull. Okay, it's still intact. The hull fits perfectly. And then prepare the 0.1 millimeter copper wire. It's cheap. So here's the wire. I cut it long enough to stitch the fracture arms, and then I begin the stitching process. To make the copper wire get inside a hole, you need some kind of trial and error. The hardest part is when you have to put the copper wire from the bottom side of Avata. Yes, continue the stitching process. It's more than one time stitching because from the mathematical point of view, 0.8 millimeter, and you are using a 0.1 millimeter cable, so you could stitch until 8 times for the inside the hole. So it's strong enough for now. And then finish it by tying the cable. After that, please give the glue again at the tying area, so it gives stronger structure at the fracture area. And here comes the secret ingredients: baking soda. They said it strengthens the structure, so I put the baking soda at the glued area that's still wet. I put baking soda, and then I glue it again to make a structural strength. I put baking soda again, and I dry it using hair dryer. It's optional. You could wait longer. At the upper side,
Sekarang ganti.
I glued it again to give more structural strength. You could use this technique on other drones other than Avata because it works. You just need to drill the hole and stitch between the part and then glue it again. I cut the cable and the cable ties. Yeah, it would leave some scratch mark from the glue because the glue get inside the teeth of the cable ties. But in but that's an acceptable side effect. So I try to fit in the motor.
Belum ini.
At first there is problem, the motor
Gimana?
won't fit in.
Ini
So I clean some of the
Harusnya
glued
dapat
area.
sih.
But actually, the problem is I had to press harder so until it clicks.
Nah,
And then I install the motors using the bolt. The next step is check whether the propeller fit perfectly because
Okay, let's
the
try
glute,
to fit in
the
the
propeller guard has only
propeller.
1 or 2 millimeter gap, so we need to make sure that the propeller fit and rotate perfectly.
Oke,
Oh
tapi
yeah, it
let's we check.
works. It fits
Oke.
precisely because all of my propeller getting scratched to the propeller guard. I don't want to take another risk. I change all the propeller to a brand new one. I buy it from a local G store and I change all the propeller. All the ingredients is listed below. You can buy it at Amazon or your local marketplace in your country. And let's check whether it could fly. Here is the wound, the fracture part that has been stitched and gluing. Let's check. Could it fly?
Ada anginnya. Adem. Kayak mobil terbang loh. Oh, bentuknya. Mau lihat